Okay, we're rolling.
All right. Good morning, folks. Kelly again. Nice to see you. Better again. Shining this morning.
A little bit better.
Yep. And Raffles and Henry. Welcome. Long time. Okay. Catalina. Good morning, everybody. Let's start. Catalina, how do you feel? What do you expect?
Hi, Manu. Hello, everyone. It's been a while. I feel good. I had to actually lay down. I had a bit of a sneezing attack out of the blue. Something in my nose, and so it was prickly, and I was sneezing like crazy. So what do I do every time I feel I'm being well? I relax. So it's part of my energy work, relaxation. So my body does what it needs to do, and I'm good to go now here. I'm good to be back, and I look forward to see if I can catch up or not to what you guys been doing in my absence. Feel free to tell me anything about Peter, if not, it's fine. I'll find out eventually. Credit card, the bank movement. I like to tell that. Anyway, it's good to see you all. It's especially good to see you, Kelly. I know they've been sending messages and things, but it's actually good to see your face. Should we go to someone else, or do you want to go?
Okay.
Peter, how do you feel when you want to go? What do you want to take out today?
Thanks, Kate. It is good to be here. I am feeling I'm feeling quite relaxed because I had a bit of a nap as well. I just I don't know what I'm expecting exactly. I just like the ongoing journey and exploration and perturbation and development that comes with it all. So I'm happy to be here and contribute. Joseph, how are you feeling, and what would you like to get out of today?
Hi, Peter. Thank you. I'm feeling pretty good. I have a bit of a cracked tooth that actually is a little bit painful right now. So, but I'm able to endure. Overall, it's good to see the group. I'm getting energized every time I see you guys. So it's a really good part of the week. I'm looking to just build on last week's terms. Come out with a couple more of ideas with Two-ness and Four-ness, maybe in six-ness. Yeah, I mean, it's just wonderful to see everybody. With that, I'll ask Kelly, how are you doing? What would you like to get out of today?
I'm feeling great, or as great as I can. Really, what I want to get out of today is just more learning. So, and more endurance. Just sitting through a call is going to be enough for me. That's how I feel, and that's what I expect. Henry, how do you feel? How do you feel, and what do you expect?
Oh, your microphone,
Mute.
Henry. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, Kelly. Feeling pretty good. Happy to come back. Yeah, been very busy. Got lots on, and we'll see where that takes us. Yeah, lots of different projects that are happening at the moment. A lot of good things are happening, and it's just a matter of prioritizing what works best. So yeah, we're here. We're focused. Give you a couple of hours, and we'll see where that takes us. Looking forward to the call. And how you feel, and what do you expect out of the call today?
Thank you, Henry, and welcome back. Good to see you. And the group is looking more and more complete. Okay, I feel actually great, absolutely great, because school is over for the year, done. So we're on a long break right now. But this coming Tuesday, this is another reason why it feels great, because this Tuesday, I think about 8 of us are going on lockdown in one of the hotels, and we've booked ourselves into the executive lounge because you get membership. You can buy into membership and you get all these perks, right? So we go on lockdown to have that final discussion to complete everything for our biosphere school, you know. So I'm taking a lot of the things that we've been discussing over the past months, and we're going to be implementing and seeing how we can bring a lot of the philosophies from Bucky into the group and for the curriculum that we are working on. So yeah, thank you very much. And Raffers, how do you feel and what do you hope? What do you expect to get out today?
Thank you, Hannah. It feels great, actually. If you can see, you can hear the background noises because my neighbors are having a party. Two guys from India, noisy buggers. Anyway, it's good to have a bit of fun around anyway. And so I feel great. Happy to see again Henry back and Kelly looking better. Love your haircut, Kelly. This time your lawnmower were better than ever. So it's good. It's always good. And naturally, when you talk about the endurance, Kelly, in your case, that's an understatement anyway. So it's great to have you back anyway and see you actually looking much better. What I expect today is again to keep on learning and exploring Bucky's way of thinking and the geometry of thought, which I always enjoy. And that you're doing that with the group is always exciting. So happy to be here and looking forward to more learning. Let me see who hasn't gone yet. Steve, my mate, how are you doing and how do you expect to get out today?
Well, I'm kind of nervous because I've been reviewing my notes of these calls, and there are things I thought I really understood, and I reviewed the notes and realized I'd missed the freaking boat, which is kind of scary for me because I'm just thinking I'm starting to understand this conversation about two-ness and four-ness as we move towards building this artifact. And so the fact that I think I'm getting it really scares me. So I'm going to be very cautious about it. And I'm really looking forward to these conversations. They're very foundational for me, and they seem to be affecting everything I'm doing in terms of how I'm relating. So I'm really looking forward to whatever it is that I'm going to become aware of today. So, thank you. And I think that's everyone. Manu, how are you feeling tonight, and what do you expect from tonight?
I feel happening at the nick of time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyway, I feel good. I want to pick up from last week, Greece from Wednesday's discussion, and then have us do the assignment that we had and flesh that with discussions and see where we land. Are we all ready for that? Okay, let me share. These are Steve's notes. I didn't edit them at all. So I'll share my screen and let's see what we have.
You should be able just to push that share button and you should be able to go.
Yeah, I'm doing, and I'm just, sorry, I have many files. So
okay.
I don't know which is,
I sent you two versions of the notes, Manu, so I'm very interested to see which one you're sharing.
let me just see to this. My stuff is not very clear here. Let me open any file and I'll be able to, no, it's definitely not that one. Let's we go now, it should be open here. Okay.
I think that's the latest one I said. So,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Can you read it?
Yeah, it's
Can
kind
you
of
see?
small. We see a
It is
big,
small.
huge,
Okay, let me
just make it bigger. Just zoom in and we'll be good.
yeah. Let me first zoom this one. Make it 200 times bigger. Is it better?
A little bit better. I think you could make it 300 or 400 would probably be good. 500. Yeah, there you go.
500 is too big, isn't it?
Okay.
You
You
write
go
the
big.
number, but you can write the number, the one you want.
That's right.
Is that
Write the
fair?
number, write the number in the, that works. That's working. That's perfect.
I just calibrated it onto the page width. Is that okay?
Very Buckminster Fuller. You calibrated it onto the page. Very good.
Okay. Can we have a reader? Okay. Now let me just set it now. You know, this is not for me. So our most important task is to become as comprehensive as possible in our use of terms and through progressive displacement of invalid data with valid one. Right?
Okay.
Okay. So what we did is that we had a list of words, and on Wednesday we tried to arrange again in terms of in duals. But remember, the task was for us to build tetra words that mean something, which we can use as building blocks in the artifacts that we are contemplating, or in the artifacts that we are designing. So let's go. You know, any comment? Anybody did anything for the weekend? For during the week? I'm sure Anne, yeah. Are you willing to share your tetra words?
Okay, sure. I've got some which are just at 2. I can't figure out the other 2. But some, I think, looking back at the discussions that we had, there was some that clearly kind of fits together, the four-ness of it. And I had the in, out, in between all around. That one really resonated with me right from the very beginning when I heard about it. And then when we went into, so that's one for me. The other one is when we looked at the word agreement, choice, and I felt it goes with collaborate and cooperate. Okay. I love macro, micro, but I don't know what the other 2 would be, because there are a couple of possibilities. And the other one.
Hey, Anne,
Yes?
would you please restate your agreement one?
Agreement, choice, collaborate, and cooperate.
Okay.
They seem similar, but they're not, from all the discussions we've had. The other one that really stood out for me also is evolution, pollution, regeneration, and sustainability. And energy, synergy, kind of felt it goes with movement and boundaries, but I'm not too sure. But and the last one I had entropy, syntropy, expansion, and inspansion. Not sure if they go together, but I kind of like the 4 of them together. And there is
Entropy,
a
syntropy,
expansion, inspansion.
expansion, and contraction.
Inspansion.
Oh, inspansion.
Yes.
Okay.
And if maybe if someone can help me, because over here you have the definition of the 2 words, right? A dual is 2 words, but what is four-ness? You know,
Okay.
like the complete universe with nothing left out. But what is four-ness? Maybe.
Okay. Let's precise that first. Let's flesh what a dual is. A dual is 2 words that coexist in a let's put it in tension compression of a system. Like if something is in, there must be something that's going out.
Right. So
Okay.
in general, you would say that there are 2 words that coexist to describe a complete universe?
Yes.
That's correct? Okay.
Yes.
With nothing left out. Do you like that idea? If it's 2 words that describe the universe completely, then there's nothing left out. When those 2 words are said, everything's complete and nothing is left out. Is that agreed, or you don't like nothing left out?
I'm hesitating. Somebody else help.
I didn't get that.
Henry. Help on that one.
I don't know if you can say it. nothing left out.
Ah, interesting. Good. We have a point of discussion.
Like take for example, where yeah.
Let me
It
ask
depends
you
on what
this.
you're talking about. If you talk about a system, like and says in, out, between, and around, that is everything.
And there's nothing left out of that, right?
Correct. But if you
Okay,
just said in and out, then you're missing the between and around.
Right.
I
on.
think Henry just gave the answer there. That was the dual, and the forward is a duality of a duality. That forms a universe.
But I want to discuss what Henry just said because I think he hit something there. If I say macro micro, is that a duality?
Yeah.
Is there anything left out? If I say macro micro, is there something left out, or is macro micro completely all that is?
There's a boundary left out.
It's a boundary in itself. Is that what you said, Manu?
No, I'm saying
boundary
there
is
is
left
a
out.
boundary that determines the in and an out. That is left out. You just say macro, micro.
I'm not understanding. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The boundary that is left out, you have no boundaries with macro and micro per se.
So do you say that macro micro is complete, Kelly?
No, I agree. Macro, micro, and then you have to state it in and out.
Because there was discussions we've had previously where we talked about macro, micro, and then we've discussed relevant, irrelevant.
Right.
So you'd take that as 4. So what is micro relevant? What is micro irrelevant? And that would be complete.
A universe is a four-ness, Steve.
That's always the case.
Yes, always. Because the four-ness is a minimum universe.
Yeah, well, it's a tetrahedron.
Yeah.
You need the 4 components. So let's just come to an agreement on that. I'm happy with that.
Okay, so what are we coming? Because I like that. So somebody say what we're coming. What are we proposing as coming to agreement on? Because I like the tetrahedron thing.
But it is, we are validating and macro, micro, in, out as a forward. It is something that when we're doing some stuff, you know, once you take those 4, it can be a block onto you building something.
Would it be fair then that we're saying that in order to have a complete system, there has to be a four-ness? Is that what we're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
Does everybody agree with that?
The minimum requirement is 4 elements.
Okay, in order to have a
Yes.
complete system, the minimum requirement is 4.
Yes. Minimum of 4 elements that interrelate in a duality of a duality.
Okay. Now I
That's
can
the-
actually show you in synergetics where it says that in order to have a complete system, the minimum requirement is 4. I can show you that right out of energetics or synergetics.
Yeah.
And you take that and you add that to your artifact.
That's right. I think we can put that in the artifact. We can quote Bucky, and then we can put our own interpretations on that.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Kelly has been doing that all the time on his diagram. Don't you think
Yeah.
that he goes every time and take one word to make, and invent another word to make 4? No, he has all those things. They are building blocks.
So everything on here would have like self and other would have something else, or digital and analog would have 2 other things. Like I'm trying to think if there are any scenarios where there could be a complete
Our
system.
objective today, Joe, is to give example of tetra words.
Okay.
So Anna's volunteer started. We need to enrich this. So we need to record those that Anne has given us. She talked about in, out, between, around. She talked about macro, micro. What was the complementary again?
In and out.
In and out. Yes. She talked about evolution, pollution, regeneration, and sustainable. And also she gave entropy, syntropy, expansion, and what I didn't finish. I didn't note all.
Expansion.
And expansion. Yes.
May I show Synergetics chapter that reinforces from Bucky exactly what we're saying? May I show that on the screen?
Yes. Should I stop sharing?
I can fix that. I'm king of the sharing thing here. So
Okay, go. So get out of me and then.
Okay, here we go. Who wants to read? Joe, will you read?
Yeah, I can read.
Thank you.
510.02. Thinking is the consideration of different experiences and inherently separate sets of events and trying to find out what their relatedness is. Each one is a star. How many stars does it take to develop a geometry of outwardness and inwardness?
Okay, pause right there. Comments and questions on that. Anybody want to restate what that first sentence says? How about this? How many stars does it take to develop a geometry of outwardness and inwardness? Okay, let's keep reading. Go ahead, Joe.
What is the minimum number of stars needed to divide the universe into outwardness and inwardness? I find it takes a minimum of 4. You can't do it with 3. 4 very clearly has an outsideness and an insideness. This is what we call the tetrahedron, which has these 4 stars and 6 sets of interrelatedness.
Okay, let's pause
This
it just for a
comes-
second.
Sure.
Let's pause it. Do you guys got that part?
Definitely.
That's what we just
Let's say it in other words. You can re-say that.
Before someone says it in other words, I'm not clear how the 4 stars create 6 sets of interrelatedness.
That's a great question.
He'll explain. that.
Relations. You know, to have a tetrahedron, you have 4 events.
Right?
Which
Everybody
are
get that? There's 4 events in
the
the
4
tetrahedron.
corners of a tetrahedron is 4 events.
Right.
And then you have
Hold it.
big,
Please hold it. Do you get that, Peter?
Yeah, I got that part. It was the 6
Okay. Does everybody
sets
get
of
the 4?
interrelatedness that confused me.
Yeah,
the
Mono
6,
said
the
4
6
events.
edges.
Yeah.
The 6 edges are the relations of a tetrahedron.
What you're talking about there is the interrelationship, because you've got 4 and then how they interrelate. 4 times 4 is 16. Minus 4 is 12 divided by 2 equals 6. That's how you're looking at that's your relationship formula. So with your relationship, the number of relationships that you actually have is 6.
And those 6 relationships are described, as Mana was saying, as the 6 edges in the tetrahedron.
Yes.
Did you get it? You have 4 points and 4 faces.
Okay. Yeah.
You get 4 points and 4 faces on a tetrahedron, and then you have 6 edges that create the boundaries on those 4 faces. Got it? Did I say it right? Does everybody get it? Is there a better way to say it?
Build a tetrahedron and see. Peter, you have your tetrahedron.
I only have like 4. We can make a tetra. We don't have magnets here at the moment.
Oh, okay, I can show one here.
Raffers, do you have your magnets? Kelly, do you have your magnets?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it on Google. A tetrahedron has got.
You want to
it's
share, Anne? Do you want to share
I-
your screen?
on a separate device. It's a separate device. It has 4 triangular faces, but 6 straight edges because they are consisting of 4 triangles. No rectangle, no squares, no. It's 4 triangles. Then it makes sense with the 6 edges.
These are,
Mhm.
this is it.
Yes, 4 triangles.
Yes.
4 faces, you call them faces. The triangles are
Okay.
faces.
There is the relationship formula. It's a
Yes.
mathematical formula, and I
Yes.
can't recall what it was. What is it? Is it 2n minus 2 divided by?
No,
Sure.
it is, these
I
are
take
called
that off if you're trying to
vertices.
remember, Henry.
No, just listen. These are called vertices. These corners, they're called vertices.
Yeah,
Right?
four.
You have
The triangles are called faces.
Yeah, four.
So there are 4 vertices
Mhm.
and 4 faces,
Yes.
Yep.
right?
4
And
vertices.
then, and
Four
then,
Okay,
and then the relationship are called edges. These
Okay.
ones.
but let's establish the 4 vertices and the 4 faces. Kelly, will you hold up your, everywhere there's a ball, there's a vertex. And the 4 balls, the 4 vertexes are called vertices. Everybody got that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now go ahead.
The yellow, Kelly, still show is better than mine. Kelly?
No, I
Still
can't
leaving us
think in
out?
terms of
Okay,
relation.
the yellow, blue, and green are edges.
Okay, so the edges are the relationships.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's the, it's
And the
the 4 edges
formula-
and the-
Are the
Faces.
interrelationships.
yes.
The one
And the
that-
formula is
yeah.
the number of vertices plus the number of faces minus the number of edges equal to. I repeat, the number of vertices, that is 4,
4, yes.
plus the number of faces plus 4, that's 8, minus the number of edges of interrelationship, that is 6, is 2. And the 2 actually is the representation of the pole of rotation. Those are the 2 that you isolate for your system to move.
Blew me away.
Is that clear?
No.
We did
No,
this when we
it
were
kinda-
doing the geometry.
What it is it's a relationship formula.
Yeah,
Yes, it's 4.
If you have 2 people, then there's a relationship. It's just one relationship. You have
Yeah.
3 people, it's 3. When you get to 4, it's the interrelationship of all 4 people.
so it's
Okay.
like graph theory in a way. That's
Yeah.
essentially what you're talking about, like
Okay.
the relationships.
So-
The
so-
number of relationship,
Hold up a
number
minute,
of-
hold up a minute, hold up a
Yeah.
minute. So there is an actual mathematical formula.
Right, by
Right.
Euler, right?
It's 4 squared minus 4 divided by 2, you get 6.
So you put n, write down n, you square it,
Mhm.
n to the power of 2. You subtract n.
Yes, that's minus 4,
Guys are still with me?
divide by 2.
Yeah,
And now divide it by 2.
2, exactly, and you have 6.
And that is how you get the interrelationship formula.
Mhm.
It's relevant not only in this, but also when you have teams.
yes,
If you have 4 people, you'll have 6 relationships that you have to contend with, or
Yeah.
interrelationships. That's why the more people you have on your team, the more difficult it can become.
Yeah. And it grows exponentially as well, as you add one more person, as soon as you get momentum.
Does
But
that
the
make
richer,
sense now?
also it can become. Yeah.
this is also like, well,
Sorry,
I
Manu,
don't,
you
I
okay?
don't want, I don't want to, anyway, I don't want to go too far off, but it's this is the way social networks actually kind of, you could figure out the way they work. I'm starting to see this now.
What Henry said is actually is in the mathematics. This
Yeah.
what you call was the Euler
Yeah,
formula.
yeah, Euler's,
Was
yeah,
this
Euler.
one? Was this one? Vertices, faces, and edges. And what Henry talked about is in the set theory, in that any set of n elements, the number of independent relationship that you can develop between that
Right.
is n times n minus 1 divided by 2. That's what he said. If you develop it, it will be n squared minus n divided by 2. It is a general relationship. Okay.
Thank you. Got
You
it.
guys are smart.
All right.
Good.
So should I, Steve? Okay, should I get back to where we were?
Yeah. Would you guys like to see Bucky's quote on Euler?
No, let's stick with this. We're looking at, the point of this was you're looking at duality of words. Is that correct?
Yes,
We're looking at duality
we
and
predict. It's like we suggested some dualities, and we had last week we had words. We had a list of words. On Wednesday, we met and then we kind of came up with some dualities, just example. And the assignment was, actual fact, to use the words that we'll be discussing to make tetra words, to make fours. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That was the assignment. So that's what we're discussing. And share hers, but we should be able to share all the combinations.
Okay.
I didn't do it.
I'm putting. I only have two-nesses in there. I have one four-ness. Some of them are the same as and
Do share them. Please, Joe.
so I had expansion contraction, which was a little bit different. Then I had leading and lagging, order and chaos, which was really randomness if you looked at synergetics. Objective and subjective, physical and metaphysical, self and other, and then the four-ness was inside, outside, between and around.
I like that leading and lagging. Can we flesh that out with something to make a four-ness?
Leading and lagging.
Yeah.
Words lead, numbers lag.
That's right.
Mhm.
There you have your four-ness.
Yeah. Word, numbers, lead,
Wor-
lead and lag.
Word, lead and lag, yep. Words lead, numbers lag.
Any other comment on that?
I immediately get the business connection of words lead and numbers lag, because you know words are how you share your project or your vision or mission or whatever, and numbers, I think always, I might be wrong, but they're always historical. They're always as at a certain point in time that you're looking back from the future, looking back into the past. It may be very recent, or it might be 5 years ago, but I fully get that words lead, numbers lag within a business context.
If I said to everybody, there are two apples, as long as a person understands English, everybody knows there are two apples. And if I said there's applesauce, everyone on this call would have a different definition of applesauce. And it would be maybe an explicit definition because somebody puts cinnamon in their applesauce and somebody else doesn't. It could be a connotative definition, like when I think of applesauce, I think of my grandmother, serving ham at Thanksgiving dinner. And everybody's going to have a different definition of applesauce. But if I say 2 apples, that's pretty finite. That's pretty self-determining because historically, most of us know what 2 apples are. Now, if I said what kind of apples, that would lead to another discussion. But 2 seems to be pretty much set in time. Does that make sense? Am I getting close?
Steve, then would you say that lead and lag, then does it go with subjective and objective then?
I think they do. I think they kind of are in pairs. I almost said it myself, but I didn't have enough guts.
Yeah, that would actually objective, subjective.
Yeah.
Lead, lag, numbers, words.
So numbers, words lead, that would be subjective. And then numbers lag, that would be objective.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we have a consensus on that? Kelly,
So
Manu?
we have a tetra word, lead, lag, objective, subjective.
Oop, I wrote objection. So I'm going to correct that.
Well, the numbers are objective because that's your data. That's the result of what you've done. Have you made a sale? Have you converted? How many people did you talk to?
Yeah, this is where Peter said historical.
Yeah. How many apples did you collect?
How many apples did I eat?
Yeah.
Keep the apples away from Peter.
I think he's been out of the Eden garden for a very long time, so there's no need.
It's funny that I was actually thinking about that. In the beginning
that?
was the word, the idea, the word is the leading. And that
Yeah.
what would and then this idea that what would be objective behind it, truth, numbers, if you want to call that truth. Anyway, I don't want to
Well,
have that.
No,
If you think of the connotation of energy, words themselves are energy. So it's not coincidence that they said in the beginning was word, because words have power, and that power is actually energy of creation, regarding what you're creating. It's just the energy, the flow, and the energy flow.
I heard a great saying the other day and I added to it. I heard thoughts, with thoughts, energy flows. And then what came to me was with word, energy grows and matter flows. That was a poem I wrote just in the last.
Say again,
Steve, I
Steve.
like your poem, but that also ties perfectly to what our ancient metaphysicians used to say, was that when you speak words, you're actually casting magic of creation.
That's why we have spelling.
Yeah.
That's why we spell words, because we're
Why
casting.
television is telling a vision.
Yes, with words.
Steve?
Energy.
So we have, can we say we have 2 here? We say word, numbers, leading, lagging. And then we say lead, lag, subjective, objective.
No, words lead, numbers lag.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's as simple as that. When you're putting something together, you want to, for people to be able to follow it. When you
Okay.
say words lead, it's very clear. Words are leading, numbers are lagging.
Yeah.
And
So
so
those
if
would
you
be
go-
forward. Are those the forwards then, Kelly?
No, I think we're talking about, this is the one thing, let Kelly finish, but I think we have jumped from two-ness to four-ness back to two-ness again. And I think we need to have a clarity on your point, Anne, but let's let Kelly finish his point.
All right, sorry
Well,
about that.
the point I'm making is you can build a whole sphere you talk about a tetrahedron, but you can build a whole sphere of four-ness. And I've done it. And you get what's sensible. Words lead, numbers lag. You have time, timing, sequence, and lag. You're all of a sudden you're getting into a language that brings you into the concepts of Fuller. And you put those together. I don't know whether you remember the when I drew those the pictures of the tetrahedron and the double tetrahedron.
Yes.
Put all of that, and every time you lead with the one, you lead with that. That's a place for something to grow.
Mm-hmm. Always.
Always. And so it's like, you eventually will get to all words and what they mean, but I think we don't want to confuse it. We want to keep it as simple as possible.
There's in the simplicity of what you said, Kelly, I think there's a workability. But the other thing that's coming to my mind is if my left hand is a tetrahedron that's a group of four, and my right hand's another tetrahedron of a group of four, they can have a relationship between each other that to build out to what you just said before, a sphere. And I think particularly like with the word lag, because lag was used in words lead, numbers lag, and if I heard correctly, was time, timing, sequence, and lag. So there's a relationship off to the side that one thing, just because the relationship between, words and numbers doesn't mean that there's not another relationship between time and timing, and they're interconnected.
And
I think the best.
That's
the
the
best
key.
that
That's
capture.
the
Yes.
key point is that
I think the best that capture the four-ness with word and numbers is to bring the other two that are in Kelly's formula. That is
the thing that you've got going for you is the absolute thing that's going for you is one, there's a relationship, and
Yeah.
two, there's an interrelationship.
Yeah.
Which Steve just said that, yeah, you got the relationship right. Now, what about the interrelationship? And you're always going between the relationship and the interrelationship. And to complete it, you've got to get to the interrelationship.
In fact, to me, to say the word relationship is kind of a lagging word, because relationship really indicates there's an interrelationship going on. And if I say relationship, I'm not as tuned in to interrelating as much as when I hear the word interrelationship. In fact, for me right now, as I look at this, I don't ever want to say the word relationship again. I want to say the word interrelationship because it's much more dynamic, much more leading, much more comprehensive.
I'll add to that symbols and focus. And it will make sense to me in the corner.
Symbols and focus?
Yes, because symbols hold. When energy is flowing, it's flowing to the line of least resistance. If it's flowing to the line of least resistance, it's accumulating somewhere. There's a symbol of it. And then the focus is the shape. So the four together make a lot of sense to me. So words, numbers, symbol, focus.
So that's a four-ness, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. And one of the problems here is we haven't made for me, a logical transition to differentiate two-ness and four-ness. I think we're discussing them really well. And one day maybe we'll discuss how we make that leap back and forth. Words, say that again, Manu. Words what? I stopped.
Let me first answer your comment there.
Well, please, let's get
A four-ness is the two-ness of two-ness.
I got
That's
it.
the first.
Can I please?
Okay, and then the other words was word, numbers,
Thank you.
symbol, and focus.
Thank you.
See, when you look at that, that says everything. Words, numbers, symbols, focus. So words and numbers, and then you have symbols. What do symbols do? They focus. So they're a duality of a duality. Words and numbers are duality, and symbols and focus are duality. But they're a four-ness.
Everybody getting that?
Yeah,
Okay, I would like us then
it's good.
to move. One that is very interesting that that was here is, can we do something of order and chaos?
Yeah.
Do you want
And yes, I would like to go from that and find the other dual and put those together to make a four-ness.
and Manu, does this screen right now pertain to this conversation? I don't think it does. You want to stop sharing so we can just see each other and have a conversation?
Okay.
And then we're looking, I just posted in the chat, order, chaos, and we're looking for a four-ness. So let's have that discussion.
Good. Like that, Steve.
So order, chaos, and then what?
I mean, I don't want to say relevancy and irrelevancy. I don't think that will work. But
Well, wouldn't
I think it
chaos
does work.
actually, doesn't chaos is actually subjective, because when you understand chaos is actually order?
Here's, I think that chaos can exist. This is a perfect duality. For me, the duality is a completeness. And I think I have a quote from Bucky to discuss this, but I don't want to squash the conversation because there's a great exploration going on here. I think in the universe, considering universe, it's duality. It's macro, micro, order, chaos. And then as soon as I create a context, in order to have a context, to have an in and an out and a between and around, I have to have, then I have four-ness. And different four-nesses describe different contexts. So you just said, what did you just say, Joe? You said order, chaos, and what were the two next words?
I was thinking relevancy and irrelevancy, but known and unknown also came to mind.
Okay, well, let's examine both of those. Any comments or questions on that? What works, what doesn't work? I'm typing them in. Because to me, they both work. But I think it's the context that makes the difference.
Is it syntropy, entropy?
Yes,
Yeah.
Along with order and chaos, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Chaos, yeah.
In other words, again, the context of the discussion describes that there's the interrelationships. The four-ness sets up an interrelationship, which sets up a context. So order, chaos, and what was the next two?
Syntropy, entropy.
Yeah, entropy, entropy.
Also, order and chaos are subjective. It's what you know, it's what you comprehend, it's what you understand. Someone can look at a picture and they think that's just chaos, that's just random bits of dots. Someone else can see it from a bigger perspective and they'll say, this is what, there's a formation going, there's a pattern here.
Right. Einstein saw a pattern between energy and matter. Nobody else saw that before.
Yeah.
Right. Other people looked at it and said, well, that's chaos. And then Einstein all of a sudden said, well, it's easy to understand. All you got to do is put yourself on a train and listen to the sound of a train passing you and hear how it goes. You know, he starts talking about this relativity. And now people understand the context of relativity. But before then, it's chaos. True?
Yeah. So it's also dependent on the observer. That's why it's a little bit subjective.
That's why it's totally subjective, because you're your observer and I'm my observer, and I may never see what you see.
So would
Is that-
objective, subjective be fit into this as well? Like,
Uh,
so you would have order, known, objective. And then you'd have chaos, unknown,
Unknown, yes.
subjective.
Well, maybe I like order, chaos, known. Well, see, then we're talking about I don't know.
Well,
I'm
that's
gonna be quiet.
six. That's like.
I think that entropy and entropy are objective together,
Yes.
and order and chaos are subjective.
Well, I think order and chaos is a duality, because the universe is complete. Everything in the universe is either ordered or it's chaotic, depending on my subjective position in the universe because of relativity, right?
Correct.
And syntropy and entropy, from where I'm sitting, that's a duality, complete. Either things are centropic or they're entropic, from my point of view, right?
Right.
Those are dualities. And Bucky goes so far to say as self and otherness is a duality.
Steve, there is a transition.
Okay?
EZ. You remember discussion with Susan?
No.
Exclusive zone of water, the four phases of water. What is it?
The four phases of water.
Yep.
Okay,
There were four phases of water.
we have liquid, solid,
Liquid,
solid, gas, and anybody else remember the fourth phase?
EZ.
It's plasma. What are you calling it, Manu? EZ?
Yeah, she called it EZ.
How do you spell that?
I think it meant exclusive zone or something like that.
I thought he called it plasma.
Uh,
It was metaphorical of plasma. I don't have the book here. I have Breathe. I don't have that one with me.
okay, just go on.
Well, how did you spell that, Manu? I want to get it on the record here.
EZ, that's all. EZ.
E and Z. If you're an English American, you'd say EZ, and you're saying EZ.
That
Okay.
proper way.
Manu, that message was to me, and so I will make it to everybody. I'm going to pass it along. This is what Manu said.
Oh, okay.
Good. Okay, I think we're doing some really good work here, and I think we're getting some sense of dualities being complete, and then the four-ness is based on a context, on a complete thought, which is tetrahedral in nature, with 4 points, 4 faces, and 6 interrelationships. Do I understand what I said by 6 interrelationships? No, I know that's the edge of the tetrahedron, but I haven't got the 6-ness down. I've got two-ness, and I have a sense of four-ness. 6-ness is driving me wacko.
But there's, it's not always just two. Like you talk about entropic, centropic being total, but Manu brings in antientropic. Where are you going to put that?
Now we're into a four-ness maybe, because antientropic is something I do with entropy that's not quite syntropic, right? Where's the four-ness in that? Is there a four-ness?
And antientropy is something that I do to delay, to lack entropy, in order to take advantage of some energy.
Is there a four-ness you can put that in?
I don't know, but it is in Bucky's description. An anti-entropic construct is something that you do, like a dam that you build to kind of store water for use later in turbines, to force them through turbine and generate electricity. That is anti-entropic.
Like potential energy.
Yeah.
Is that applying an external force to use what is already there for something else?
Well, I would say energy, I'll formulate it, sorry. It came and it went away. Let me write it down.
How about this? No, shoot. What's the opposite of radiation?
What was that?
What's the opposite of radiation?
Gravity.
Radiation, gravity.
Okay, cool. Gravity.
Then you have out.
Radiation.
To me, there is
That's your
out.
in and out. Let's put gravity and radiation in a four-ness. Can we do that? How about this? Gravity, radiation, entropy, syntropy. What do you think? Is there a context in which that four-ness would be applicable?
Some more examples of entropy and syntropy.
Go ahead.
The gravity and radiation.
There are
Yeah.
examples of it.
That's what it is.
Well, gravity is inness, radiation is outness.
Mhm.
Entropy is what happens when things continue out, right? Expand, when they radiate, they expand. And entropy is the result because there's more and more space between the stuff. I don't know. I'm just,
Wait a minute, so you're saying gravity, radiation, in and out.
but I think gravity and radiation and in and out are duals, the standalone duals that are synonymic or synonyms.
Yeah.
So gravity is inness, radiation is outness, so to speak.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm on the wrong track. I see Henry
No.
now, he kind of agrees. Okay, cool. I feel
That's
like,
correct.
yeah.
In the same way, what's entropy? Entropy is pulling in.
Mhm.
Entropy is expansion. Entropy is the universe getting further and further apart, becoming more disorganized, more entropic. Am I wrong on that?
Mhm.
I can't recall.
Isn't there some scientific theory that if the universe keeps expanding,
What
it
is the
ultimately
definition
reaches some
of
point
entropy?
contraction?
Give me the definition of entropy. What's
I'm going to
Bucky
go up to
say?
Google and I'll throw it in the thing.
What's Bucky say? You
He
must have a
uses it
definition.
interchangeably with radiation. In general,
It's a lack of order.
Bucky, yes, he will substitute entropy for radiation and vice versa. He does it.
Right.
Here's the first dictionary definition, and here's the second definition.
Second one's actually gonna make sense.
Yeah, lack of order or predictability, gradual decline into disorder. So entropy is a synonym or is relative to radiation.
Right.
Goodness.
Okay, in our parlance, I would say entropy is division out
Correct.
because
Right.
we're talking about multiplication and division always. So entropy is division out, gravity multiplication in.
What about potential then?
Well, I mean, I just put 4 words there. I mean, I was waiting that we conclude on this first, and then and have that tickle our minds.
Okay.
But because I think your point is Manu's making, and it depends on the context that you're trying. It's on the project you're working on as to what four-ness is applicable to you. Because in that four-ness, one draws a boundary, and in there, hopefully, is the solution to the problem. And out of that, the solution isn't outside. It's got to be inside, right? Because it's inside the system. The tetrahedron is the minimum system in the universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And designing is building system and processes. That's what designing means, to do something. Okay, so we've got gravity, radiation, entropy, syntropy. Now, I'll just put something in there. Energy, kinetic, anti-entropy, potential. Take example of anti-entropy potential. When I exercise, I'm doing something anti-entropic. The result of it is to build my muscles that I can use later into something. If I were completely weakly, then there will be a problem. That's the same application in terms of medicine. Do we do preventative medicine, or do we do medicine that you are sick, you go to see a doctor, he makes a prescription, and then you take?
It depends.
Preventative medicine is anti-entropic. Is knowing that you are a whole and there are things that you can do. Same thing for the environment. We are in symbiotic relationship with environment. And for it to be good, there are some things that we have to do for it to be suitable for us being into it.
Would you guys like to see a statement from Synergetics on entropy? Would you like to see that from Bucky?
Or anti-entropy. See if you can get it.
Okay, I just found entropy. Joe, do you want to read that?
Sure. Where would you like me to start?
270. Yeah, 270.12.
270.12. In the era before the measurement of the speed of light, scientists assumed an instant, unitarily conceptual, normally at rest, but for the moment and only locally, perversely restless universe. Before the 20th century, discoveries of other galaxies, and in the early days of the thermodynamics and its disclosure of entropy, the inexorable systemic loss of energy, the scientists were
Go ahead.
The scientists were prone to assume that the vast instantaneous cosmic machine as a thermodynamic system must itself be running down. That is, continually spending itself entropically and trending eventually to self-annihilation.
And so the point here is there's Bucky's definition of syntropy. In enforcing but then he says that it's going to self-annihilate, that science thought it would self-annihilate.
No, that was old thought.
That's what he's saying. The old thought was it would run.
But Bucky keep on using the eternally regenerative universe. I mean, at that stage, scientists didn't know that it was something. If there is entropy, there's going to be syntropy. There's syntropy happening somewhere.
Here's a statement on, oh crap, I just lost it.
Syntropy, yeah. Yes.
Here's a cool statement.
935.
Anti-entropic, you have it there?
Yeah, right there.
935.17.
Yes, please read, Joe.
Einstein assumed hypothetically that energy is given off omnidirectionally with the ever-increasing disorder of entropy by, I can't see.
All stars.
Okay, I'm sorry, my thing was in the way. By
My
the
thing-
all stars were being anti-entropically imported, sorted, and accumulated in various other elsewheres. He showed that when the radiant energy interferes with itself, it can and probably does tie itself processionally into local and orderly knots. Einstein must have noted that the Earth children do not disintegrate entropically but multiply. Thank you. Their hydrocarbon molecules in an orderly fashion. Little saplings grow in an orderly way to become big trees. Einstein assumed Earthian biology to be reverse entropy. This account does not presume to recapitulate the actual thought processes of Einstein at any given point in the development of his philosophy. Rather, it attempts to illustrate some of the inevitable conclusions that derive from his premises.
So he's
Something-
go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say something is very powerful there. The first thing is that as energy divides and energy flows, it necessarily form knots that are local. So gravity always manifests itself locally. And the orderliness of that knotting is an anti-entropic construct towards something local in support of the regeneration.
Right on. So saplings, little trees, become big trees, which is
Yes.
anti-entropic.
Well, I mean, it just say, for example, the genetics,
He says
our
this-
genetic code in our biosphere is something local towards something.
right.
It's orderly. Children of Earth don't disintegrate into oblivion, but they multiply in an orderly way. It is an orderly process. It is gravitational. It is syntropic locally there.
Yeah. And if somebody looks at epigenetic code, because human beings are as far as we know, the only species that can actually make conscious decisions to change their physical shape, we can actually change our genetic code by choice. This is really powerful. Other comments and questions?
Steve, it's also choice with powerful intentionality, because when you're studying thank you, he talks very clearly of the power of intention, and that if for example your family of origin heritage programming is to be disposed towards a particular disease, for you to transform that, you need a very clear and powerful intention and a very clear and powerful commitment. So it's the possibility that it's there, but it still comes back to choice with intentionality. So those who have a very strong intention to heal miraculously heal themselves one way or another. Those who have an intention just to accept the status quo don't transform that particular illness. And when you study the people who've had spontaneous healings, there are people who've had spontaneous healings of cancer where they've had tumors in their brain, and they've had spontaneous healings of that in public seminars. And there's been before and after brain scans. And the people who've had that experience, in every case, they say, I didn't know how, I didn't know where, I didn't know when, I just knew I was going to be healed. But they were very clear that it was going to happen. And that potentiality to drop into the miraculous just shows how powerful our choices are. You know, we have, and it frustrates me at times, but coming back to the macro view, we have a potentiality to transform the world from a place of scarcity and Malthusian bloody policies to a world of prosperity and abundance for everyone. It takes the square root of 1% of the population to make that change. And the fact that that change hasn't yet enacted itself shows that we don't yet have that clear intentionality and commitment to it.
But one thing that perhaps we also need to understand was the actually the word is not the effect, but the lack of a what I want to use, I'm going to use it in, the effect actually feels, you know, you might have in the field of the environment, the influence that the environment, because someone, let's say someone wants to heal, and yet they're in an environment that doesn't necessarily, it needs to be a very absolutely strong intention to heal, because the environment is all about sick, you're gonna die, you're not gonna get better. So the traditional programming of sickness or anything, it's all about perhaps degeneration rather than perhaps something that the body is doing to actually even get better, to reorganize the energy in a way that is just releasing whatever is not working anymore, so the body can actually tune in and actually be something better. So it's the duality of A, an intention, and B, what's actually part of epigenetics is the influence of the field, the influence of the environment, and in which field we tune in, because we have full capacity of tuning into fields, but in order to do that, we actually need to be aware and want to actually drop into the subtle senses that we have. It's just that we have so much noise in the biggest senses of the roughest senses that we actually not allowed us to actually tune in into the subtle senses that are the ones that actually, you know, connect to the different fields, and therefore perhaps apply in a more spontaneous way the influence of the, you know, epigenetics itself. That's why the power of the influence of love, you know, the love is the ultimate field, because it's order in a way orderly
in the same way, the extension of that, one person who's reached whatever we would agree would be enlightenment, one Buddha, one Jesus, one Christ, one whoever the other guys and girls are, actually changes the energy on the world of 100 million people. That's the potential it has. The influence on the field
creates a precessional effect. So you are correct in terms of what you say about choice, because choice is about thoughts and words, and that comes back. And been a lot of research done that over the years. You know, Bruce Lipton wrote Biology and Belief. Louise Hayes wrote tons on this kind of on the subject. So it has been around for a long, and it's how tuned, like Catalina says, how tuned are you? Are you going to tune into that? Are you going to believe that and take it and develop it and grow it? And I think people are now more open to that. So it's happening. It's not just what was in the past.
We need more people on these phone calls.
more interrelations.
Interrelationships, yeah.
They need to agree with the second law of thermodynamics.
What's the second
Understand
word?
what I mean here? Well, there's a price to pay. They need to commit the time.
It's a cost.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's a cost.
So, you know, that without being too cute about it, it's actually, if you choose to heal something in your life, it's not a cost, it's an investment. And that's coming back to the power of words again.
You just cost something perhaps that is there, that is being there long.
Yeah. Agree.
So.
Yeah, this concept, this anti-entropy, I just wrote, that was, I intended to put the question. I say is anti-entropic inherently intentional? I say that is the question, it's not a statement that I'm making. And then I say that because in order to be anti-entropic in what we're doing, we need to be aware and to have learned of something. For example, you talk about epigenetics. We are aware of epigenetics and its importance and its influence. Therefore, we alter the way we're doing things because of that force that is always there shaping things and influencing. So we become, in terms of what we're building, we inform to build something anti-entropic in a way that leverage rather than going against the reality of the environmental influence. It's just
happening.
I found a quote from Bucky almost reinforcing what Manu just said. I just stuck it in the post over here. I'll read it if you're okay with this. The physical is inherently entropic, giving off energy in even more disorderly ways. The metaphysical is antientropic, methodically marshaling energy. Life is antientropic. It is spontaneously inquisitive. It sorts out and endeavors to understand.
wow.
That's from the introduction of synergetics. There's no number on it. This will be in the chat. It will include the thing, but yeah, I see people writing it down. Go for it. It's beautiful. I'll read it again because it's profound, isn't it? The physical is inherently entropic, giving off energy in ever more disorderly ways. The metaphysical is anti-entropic. Joe, we were talking about metaphysical versus physical earlier today. The metaphysical is anti-entropic. It's the framework upon which life exists, in my interpretation. Methodically marshaling energy. Metaphysical marshals energy. Life is anti-entropic. It is spontaneously inquisitive. It sorts out and endeavors to understand. Woo.
Yes, it relates nicely what we read before about the dead teaching the living. That's Antient.
Yeah. And those are words, really. My parents give me words that I give to my kids, that they give to their kids, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And no other species, from what we understand, I think we're maybe a little bit vain on this because I think whales probably teach their children, and dolphins. I don't know. I don't know whale speak and dolphin speak. I've heard that whales can say 5 words simultaneously, that if you put whale speak into a computer, that you could download the Odyssey in 30 minutes. That's mind-boggling to think that a whale song could tell the whole story of the Odyssey in 30 minutes. You know, and Native Americans in the north of America believe that the two-leggeds, you and I, are the dreams of the dolphins. Very interesting.
Really?
Yeah. I wonder how much words have to do with being anti-entropic.
Well, it comes
Well,
back to
think
their
about the
intention.
words.
doesn't it?
Words are metaphysical.
Yes. Words lead.
It is not anti-entropic until
Yeah.
that critical mass.
Yeah. Well, I'm experiencing reverence, like as if we struck a holy moment.
I think you've
whole-
taken it
a
about as
whole
far as
moment.
we can go. Can we look to close this down? I mean, I don't think we can take much more. Well, I can't take much more. Just personally.
Okay, on this point, thank you, Henry. Good signaling. Let's start with Anne. How do you feel? What do you take away?
Okay. I feel actually I don't know how I feel at the moment. Yeah. And okay. Wow. What I'm taking away, a lot of things to think about. Yeah. The next thing is there's some really, really powerful stuff here on the anti-entropic. I don't know how to fit that into together with, I thought I understood entropy and syntropy, you know, there's a third dimension to it. And I think this third dimension is creating quite a few other dimensions to the whole process of it. I love the idea that words are energy, thoughts are energy. We've been exploring that quite a bit in our school as well. When we were discussing, when we talk to parents, we talk to the students. So this really nails it down for us. Okay, so that is what I have to take away. Joe, how do you feel and what is your takeaway?
I'm taking away a lot from this conversation. Actually, I had come into this and actually had a little bit of pain and wasn't feeling that great. But I feel a lot better actually walking away with this, especially understanding the geometry of thought, the expression that Henry had provided to me with everyone else is got my mind going, and I'm starting to understand how this relates to graph theory and how the interrelationships of these words actually come together and create meaning and create a system, more importantly. I mean, I think that there's quite a bit here and there's a whole slew of other terms that now I'm thinking of in terms of four-ness that I hopefully can come back with next week, depending on what the agenda is. I'm also, I'm grateful that, that Kelly's here for the whole call. And I'm also, welcome back, Kat, as well. But and so those are my major takeaways from this evening.
Who's next, Joe?
Oh, I'm sorry. Henry, how do you feel and what are you taking away?
Thank you, Joe. Feeling great. Enjoyed the call. There was a lot to it and fleshed it out really well. There's, the entropy, the entropy. I like the anti-entropic definition. My linkage to that was about regeneration, which I think is something that we can work more on and understand. Have a good understanding on thoughts. Your thoughts are energy. Energy vibrates at a certain frequency, which is how people can tune into it. And you can project it and you can push it across, you can push it out, you can radiate it out, and others will pick up on it. So that's kind of cool. A lot of good things. Good to be in touch with everybody else and seeing Kelly come back into it. So thank you very much. Raffers, how you feeling, mate? What'd you get out of the call?
Thank you, Henry. I feel great. Actually, great call today. I actually enjoyed the fact that we can actually come together and discuss tetrahedrons and tetra thoughts, two-ness, four-ness, etc. Because what we discuss in this course is completely alien to to what most people study or learn in school. So the fact that we have here educators who can now at the same time take this to other people, I think that's helping build the 1% square root to actually create change. So it's always encouraging. So again, happy that Kat, Henry, and Kelly are on the call. And my takeaway is, again, this connection between tetrahedrons and relationships. And I like the idea that I can make sense of where Bucky gets the 6 from, which is, again, the number of relationships in a tetrahedron. To me, that was wonderful, actually. I said, wow, I didn't know that. I mean, how silly am I that I didn't work that out a while ago, but again, grateful to Henry for that. So I take away is the power of thinking in the way that Bucky's teaching us to think, which is how to make these connections and to build these solid structures, fairly stable structures that we can turn into ideas and into action. And also understanding, for example, another of my takeaways today is the traditional thing about the universe as energy becomes chaos as it dissolves, and the thought that the universe would eventually dissolve, which again, Bucky has a completely opposite idea, which is universe is eternally regenerative. That means it will go on forever, as energy, in fact, is actually creating something else and becoming something else. That means it's not really going anywhere. And how we relate to all of that and what our role is in the universe and how we deal with today's problems is, again, understanding things the way we do it. We do it in this course. So great. I wish, again, I said that more people would join the call. But again, it's not just a matter of more people joining the call. It's how we teach other people to think the way we think. And that's it. And then we can actually make what we do more entropic, I think. Anyway, that's my takeaway today. So, Catalina, how do you feel and what's your takeaway? And welcome back.
Thanks, Rafa and everyone. As usual, it was a very rich conversation. I'm very glad and grateful to have Kelly back, because as I said, each individual field, we're all part of the field, but within that, each an individual part of element of it actually has its own field. So we are, I don't know, I'm just glad I know a lot of part of the family might not be here today, and yet we are connected and in a way tuning into it. So it's good to see you, Kelly, and I'm sure that you will continue healing, because I'm sure that that's your choice. What I take away, well, there's a lot that was discussed today, and I don't know if I can. One thing I actually thought I actually had missed a bit of confusion between anti-entropic and anti-fragility, and yet anti-entropic actually can be part of anti-fragility, can be part of anti-entropic. So that's sessions ago when I actually said that anti-entropic, I was referring to anti-fragility. So that was like aha. So when we were discussing anti-entropic today, and a bit more clarification of words that we've been actually using and expressing ourselves for the last nearly 2 years. I've had perhaps a deeper understanding and a deeper knowledge that goes perhaps beyond the mind, like at the brain, but perhaps more towards the feel and the being, because it's everything. It's just it could be more. There's more depth to it. So I'm very grateful for everyone's exchange, for everyone's contribution, and then looking forward to see what else comes up. And Peter, how do you feel and what do you take away today?
Thanks, Kat. I thought today was juicy. I enjoyed the juiciness of trying to sort out which things went into which tetrahedron, and then it became really juicy when we started exploring the relationships and interrelationships of all of that. There were two specific groupings that for me very much tie together, which is words lead, numbers lag, and words, numbers, symbols, and focus. They sort of tie together well for me, those two tetrahedrons. When Steve said there was a relevant moment of revering when he read that Bucky's quote, I think it was quite accurate. And as that was happening, and Rafa's mentioned this, you know, Bucky talks about a regenerative universe, and that's one of his sort of core contexts. And Einstein, and I don't know if I'm going to quote him exactly, but I'll be close. He said that there's two ways to live. The first is if there is no miracles, and the second is if everything is a miracle. And my context on that is that life is a miracle, and that the fact that we have choice, that we have the power of intention, we have the power of momentum by creating a group, we have the power of words and numbers and lag and all of those other good things. We have the ability through epigenetics to transcend our existing environment and create an environment that can heal us. And the macro of that is that we can transcend our existing environment on the earth and create an environment that actually creates healing, that it works for everyone. I get excited about that. I think that's juicy. We have missed you, Kelly. We're glad you're back. I'm glad you're back. And I look forward to further juicy conversations with you. Stephen, like a metaphysician sitting in the corner. How do you feel?
Steve should go last. Go to Kelly, then go to Manu, then go to Steve.
Okay.
I'd like
Steve,
Kelly to go. I'd like
Was it
Kelly to go last as the patriarch of this operation.
Oh, good. We're back to patriarchs.
Yeah. Well, I'll be
Kelly,
glad to-
how do you feel, and what did you take away tonight?
Oh my gosh.
Today.
I took away this need that we have to get it right. And that doesn't seem to me to be Fuller-like. Fuller-like is to keep at it. And, you know, whether two words go together or they don't go together or whatever, it's important to me that we're looking, and things will just come to you, like past, present, future, may. Timing, sequence, and lag. They come together, and they stick together just because they make sense. It makes no sense to me to be constantly looking for something that may not be there. And I think it's important that we develop a language as an artifact that's usable. And whether people know it or not, I just think that they've got to work it out, that it's always evolving. And it's going to always evolve. And I just think that that's so important. What did I get? To me, I found it really hard to listen to. Maybe the state of mind I'm in, I don't know. But I found it hard to listen to because we strive so hard to get it right. And I don't think that's what it's about. I think it's about giving it a red hot go, which we do, and making sure that that we develop forward, and we develop forward as a group, and we feel good about people in the group. I don't know what else to say, but That's me for now. Steve, how do you feel and what do you take away?
Wow. I just, I got some tears in my eyes over here. I'm just so delighted that it seemed it was kind of consensual that we captured the sacredness of that moment about life itself being anti-entropic. That seems profound to me. And as Kelly was just now talking about this idea of like, it isn't, I mean, I'm going to misinterpret what he said, but it's not so important that I have the answer. What's important is I continue the query. I continue to be, as Bucky says up here, it is spontaneously inquisitive. And when I lose my inquisitiveness, I've lost life. Life is asking the questions. Life is the endeavor, to quote Bucky, it's the endeavor to understand. And as I heard Kelly talk, I thought of the prophet, Don Henley, or maybe it was the other guy in the Eagles, but here it is. And the more I know, the less I understand. All the things I thought I'd figured out, I have to learn again. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but everything changes and my friends seem to scatter. But I think it's about forgiveness. Forgiveness, even if you don't love me anymore. And that's the spirit I'm feeling tonight. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Mano, for letting this thing roll, dude, for bringing it up and letting it roll. Thanks, Bucky, for his crazy insights. I think we're down to Manu, right?
Yep.
All right, Manu, how you feeling? What you taking away?
I'm grateful for the nick of time. At a minute to the time of a call, I was still exchanging with Steve about the material. And that was quite something. And rappers, thank you for encouraging. Anyway, I'm really kind of, I was very apprehensive. And now, towards the end of a call, I think I was in the flow. And thank you all for the participation. What I would like us to do next time is to really continue on this, and especially build things around anti-entropy. I think it is such an important concept, and I will call it word, that, understanding and exploring its richness and its association and intersection can take us forward. And again, as Kelly says, we don't have to have it right. We have to try it the best we can. And the journey will determine who we can become. Thank you all.
Thank you, Manu.
All
Come
right.
on, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, see ya.
Hey, thanks,
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Have a great evening.
Yep.
Or
Thank
day
you.
or whatever.
Bye.
Thanks, Manu. Thanks for your patience. I thought I sent that out like 3 hours before, dude. And and it didn't go. It got stuck in my drafts and it would not send.
But
So,
what saved us was that it was an assignment.
yeah.
So, you could